Hey fight fans, I'm Sarah Davis and you're watching Fight News Now Extra. We have some big updates to bring you from the combat sports world, and then John Ramdeen and Robin Black are joining me to break it all down and recap this past weekend in MMA. Let's get started. Former UFC heavyweight champion Brock Lesnar has just signed a 2-year contract extension with the WWE. And that deal will take him all the way through to WrestleMania 31 in 2015. Now, the last time we saw Lesnar in the cage, he was TKO'd by Alistair Overeem and said that would be his last fight in MMA. So it looks like that's it for him, and he's sticking with the WWE. Anderson Silva's manager, Ed Soares, says that they're not interested in putting the middleweight belt on the line against Chris Weidman, but they are interested in Kung Lee as an opponent. Lee responded saying he would definitely take the title fight if the UFC offered it to him. And the UFC has yet to arrange a fight for Silva. Light heavyweight champion John Bones Jones said that he might move up to the heavyweight division by the end of this year. He'd like to fight one of the top contenders in the division, but said that if Daniel Cormier wants to fight him, he's going to make Cormier do the weight cut just because of all the trash talking the former Strikeforce fighter has been doing. Those are your latest headlines coming out of the combat sports world. Now let's hear from our panel, John Ramdeen and Robin Black. And guys, when do you think John Jones should move up to heavyweight?
I think the time is now for Johnny Bones Jones. This guy has been so dominant in the 205-pound division, and if you can imagine some of the super fights at heavyweight, a matchup with Roy Nelson or Cain Velasquez or Junior Dos Santos, I think these fights are very intriguing for mixed martial arts fans. Don't you agree?
This dude is only 25 years old. If at 26 you lose to a couple of heavyweights, all of a sudden this great legacy you built as one of the great young light heavyweights is gone. He's got this crazy reach, which he won't have at heavyweight. He's very young, he's very athletic, and he can still make the weight and be bigger than everyone. Why go up and get at risk of losing some fights to some big old giants?
He has cemented his legacy already. Shogun, Rampage, Rashad Evans, Vitor Belfort. He has basically cleaned out the entire 205-pound division. And we heard Josh Barnett telling Daniel Cormier, do not go down to 205 pounds. Stay at the marquee division. That is the heavyweight limit, and I think that John Jones will be able to make so much money if he is the premier heavyweight. And I know the argument, well, the guys at the top of the division like Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem may be too much, but why not? Do you not want to see it?
I'd like to see it, but Cain Velasquez might lay a beating on that kid.
Again, I don't know if he's going to lay a beating on him. John Jones is just super talented. But Robin, there's so many things that I want to get to. We got to talk about what happened this past weekend. UFC on Fox 6 went down in Chicago, and a lot of breakout performances. Of course, we saw Demetrius Johnson come back after those couple of bad shots he took from Johnson-Dodson. Did you think that he was ever in jeopardy of losing his title?
Yeah, it really looked like he was. And, honestly, Dodson fought a great couple of rounds, but I really thought Demetrius Johnson kind of let himself down a little in those first couple of rounds. In that last fight against Benavidez, he had Benavidez coming to him, and he was countering and moving his feet. In this fight, he almost played Benavidez, and he tracked down Dodson, and he kept going after him, and he kept eating that straight left hand, even moving to his own right. Really just didn't have a couple of good rounds. But when that happens, and you can come back and perform that well in rounds 3, 4, and 5, the championship rounds, you really show what kind of champion that you are, and I'm really impressed by this guy.
I was impressed because of the fact that he was hurt early and that he was able to amend his game plan and start dictating his own pace. He was able to control where the fight took place, and we saw how fast John Dodson is. Yeah. The guy has great takedown defense. He seemed to have cardio for days. So for Demetrius Johnson to be able to pick himself up, dust himself off, and go into those last 3 rounds dominating, it really shows that this guy is a true UFC champion.
For sure. And, it was interesting to me because also in the Pettis fight, Pettis looked phenomenal against Cerrone. But Cerrone, it was almost as if when Pettis went to that southpaw stance, Cerrone looked, completely a deer in headlights, and he was really open to that left kick to the body, and Pettis knew it right away. Between Cerrone's breakdown against the southpaw and Johnson's breakdown in those first 2 rounds against the southpaw, it looks like being a southpaw fighter right now is an advantage. We're hitting that level in the evolution evolution of striking, just like he did in boxing, where a southpaw fighter will have an advantage.
Of course, Anthony Pettis just showcasing his dominance against a guy that believed could challenge for the 155-pound title. We know it is inevitable that Anthony Pettis will challenge for the title. What makes this kid so special?
Well, for one, that cocky swagger, that doesn't work for everybody, but it really works for this kid. You know, he's got this arrogant way to him where he walks in there thinking, you're not playing the same sport as me. I'm much better than you are. And that approach is how he performs. You know, yes, his striking is fantastic. Yes, his footwork is fantastic. But it's his commitment and his mental game where he believes he's on another level than you, and he performs like that.
One of the breakout performances of UFC on Fox 6 has to go to our man, TJ Grant from Nova Scotia. This guy lit up Grant-Wiman. What a performance. He definitely cracks the top 10 with that, and people are going to argue and say, oh, Grant-Wiman wasn't a top 10 guy. He is in and around top 20, top 15, because there's no such thing as rankings. And for TJ to come out and abuse this guy the way he did and finished him in the first round, he goes into the top 10 without question.
TJ looks phenomenal on the ground. He has for a long time. He has looked great on the feet in that last fight. And then to take that Muay Thai clinch, take that time that he spent in Thailand, and really drill it home against a guy who'd only been finished once ever with a flying knee. Phenomenal performance.
I love the fact that he keeps asking for tougher fights. He now wants Jim Miller. That's going to be an exciting fight. But Sarah Davis, some of the most exciting fights in all mixed martial arts are coming up this weekend. Two of the pound-for-pound best, and Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's going to be huge.
It's unbelievable fights coming up.
I'm pumped. The featherweight championship. Yeah. Can anyone dethrone Jose Aldo? All right, well, we will see this Saturday. And coming up before then, we will have the latest episode of Toe to Toe. Ram Dean is sitting down with Rashad Evans, who's opening up about using a gun when he was a teenager. So don't miss that. It's 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday night. And stay with us right here. We're taking a look at the recap of UFC on Fox 6.